In this video, I'll be informing you of everything you may need to know, you probably will need to know, for the IB assessment before you sit for the examination. So the things that I'll be discussing include the IB Compatibility Test, the eAssessment software, the eAssessment platform, exam submission, exam rules, and information and tips from my experience. So the first thing that you'll be asked to do before you sit for the examination, which will probably be months before when you do your mock exams, will be to take the IB compatibility check. Because what they'll do is they have to ensure that your personal device is compatible with the eAssessment software. Because previously, the eAssessment had to be taken using school computers, but recently they changed it so that you're allowed to use your personal devices. So this check is necessary to ensure that your personal device works. Or else the school will have to provide a device for you on the day if necessary. So this is what the compatibility checker looks like. You'll be going through a few steps in order to ensure that certain requirements features of your laptop fulfills the requirement needed to use the eAssessment software. So generally, these are the requirements that to look at: the screen resolution, disk space, audio, video, and all of this. So as you can see, I passed all these down here, but my screen resolution wasn't the recommended screen resolution for the eAssessment platform, but that's not really an issue because a lot of people don't fulfill the recommended screen resolution. And as long as it shows that your compatibility checker passed, even with a warning, doesn't matter. Unless it's something else. Usually, if it's screen resolution, it's no problem. But if it's something like audio, video, then it'll be a problem. And the next thing is the IB assessment software. So you'll be provided with the download link by your school. You can't find it online or anything. So the main thing that you'll be using to take your assessment is this IB assessment player. This is what you'll be downloading before the exam, like way before you'll need it on your laptop. But during the day itself, in order to take the examination, before every single exam, you'll be provided with an examination package. Because this package is different for each exam, you'll be provided with it before each exam. And this package is different for Mac and Windows users. So the school will provide you with two types. You'll have to choose accordingly depending on what laptop you have. This is the one for Mac because I'm a Mac user, so this is the one I have. So once you open that package, this is what will appear. The actual assessment package will appear, which for example is this IDU 2022 examination. You'll also be getting this player download, which is necessary in order to open that package. So what you do after you get this is you open this IB assessment player. This is what shows for me as I open it. And then you plug this exam package into this box, and it gives you the option to launch the assessment. So as you can see here, it shows that a lot of requirements for my laptop is fulfilled in order to be able to launch the assessment. Except you can see the screen with resolution here, but it doesn't really matter because I'm still able to run the software. And so this is about the eAssessment platform itself. Once you open the package, you'll be completely locked out of your laptop, meaning you can't access any other apps, you can't go anywhere, you can't even check the time, you can't check the battery percentage, you can't check anything else. You're only locked in this eAssessment platform. So this is just generally what it'll look like. You can find this anywhere online. You'll be getting this keyboard here in which you can select another language because you'll be taking language assessment as well. So you'll have to make sure your laptop has that language beforehand, which you'll be choosing together with your compatibility checker. Because if, as you can see back here, I took Chinese Simplify. I took the Mandarin assessment, so I had to get the Chinese Simplify keyboard, and I had to make sure I was able to use that keyboard during the e-assessment. This is also the option to use a calculator. This is the timer, the amount of time you have left. Here's are all the questions, which you can click to select the questions. And these are sort of moons that will fill out as your questions are answered. So if you completely answer all the questions, all these moons will become black in color. And this is generally pretty much the exact same calculator that will show up during the eAssessment software. It's the Desmos scientific calculator, so it's good to be able to get used to this calculator before you take the actual examination. And some exam rules that you may need to be aware of is that you should not disclose the contents of the examination within a 24-hour period due to time zone differences, as other countries may still be taking the examination. This is especially important when you're looking at social media because the moment it's recorded that you disclose some content of the examination within this period, your results may be cancelled. And although the e-assessment software will lock everything else, there's still a chance that if you leave any tabs or any type of application open, you may exit the e-assessment software. And if you do so, you will be unable to enter again. So you should be closing everything before you enter the e-assessment software. And just rough paper, you'll be given rough papers. You'll have to submit it by the end of the examination. You're not allowed to keep it. And this is how you will be submitting your response. So how the e-assessment works is that the moment the exam ends, your answers will not be sent directly to IB. You will be getting a file that will be saved onto your laptop that has all your responses. But these responses cannot be opened by you or your school. Only IB has the software that can open this response file. So what you're required to do is you have to submit this file to your school so that your school can submit it to IB and they can grade it. So what the school may ask you to do, what they did for me, is that they asked me to drop it into a Google Drive and they asked me to drop it into a USB file as well so that it's safer. They have 2 copies of it. So just a reminder, depending on how your school decides to collect the responses, Mac users may need a USB cable. And a reminder is to make sure not to delete the file immediately after submitting it, as accidents may occur, you may submit the wrong file, anything may happen. So it's good to keep all your response files until the end of the e-assessment period. And just some general exam tips and information that you may need to know. It's good to bring earphones. All videos have subtitles, but still, it's good to have earphones. Mac users may need a USB cable. And for each examination, there will be a 5-minute reading time, which you should use well because during that period, you're locked from the e-assessment software. You cannot type anything. You can only go through all the questions and everything that is there on the examination file. It's only the reading time is mainly there for you to get used to where everything is and to look at all the questions. And as mentioned before, don't immediately delete the response file. And another thing is to charge your device while completing the examination. Because as I mentioned before, e-assessment locks all other features. You can't check your battery percentage. So if it suddenly shuts down because there's no charge, you can't do anything about it. So what everyone did in my school is everyone just charged it while taking the exam. And before you take the exam, once you open the eAssessment package, you'll be asked to fill in a few information in which the important ones are your student code, your school code, as well as the examination code, which is different for each subject examination. So make sure you recheck and type it properly because these are the important information that has to be correct. There will also be a page in which your personal information will show, like your name, your date of birth, stuff like that. So you'll have to confirm it all before you start your examination. And as mentioned before, don't throw away any rough paper because if there's any issue with your responses, IB may request your rough paper from the school in order to check through it. And personally, these are some exam issues that I am aware of that you may want to know. The first is that Mac users may face problems with the usage of the e-assessment software. I personally never faced anything, but I know friends from another school. Although we took the exact same examination at the same period, The Mac users at that school all had problems in which they had a 30-minute delay before they were able to start the assessment. So other Windows users were able to start already. So although they were able to do it, it's still mentally stressful. So just a reminder that this may happen. And as I mentioned before, in the eAssessment software, there's those moons that will fill out as you answer questions. But the problem with these moons is that it doesn't correspond to the number of questions you actually fill out. So let's say there's a question set and you fill in one question, the moon will fill halfway, even though there may be like 10 more questions left. And once you fill in all those questions, only will the moon be completely full. So it can only be half or completely full, no in between. So by chance you see that it's halfway full and you think you completed half of the question set, you may or may not be wrong. So it's good to keep track of the questions that you did and didn't do by bookmarking them because these moons won't really help you in knowing what's your progress in that question set. And another thing is that the calculator will cover a certain portion of the screen and it can't be moved here and there. It just stays in place there if you open the calculator, which sometimes make it harder to actually view the question and see what you're doing. It does get annoying, but you can't do anything about it unless eAssessment IB decides to change that. And one more thing to take notice of is that time cannot be added by teachers. Anything can happen, but the teachers will be unable to add time for you. It's not that they don't want to, but they cannot. So please use the washroom beforehand and be careful of what you eat so that there are no issues during the actual examination. I had a friend that had an issue during an examination and she was unable, she had to go out for a while, use the washroom, but the time was passing, but the teachers were unable to add time for her. So these things may happen, so just be aware of that. And that's all for me. Thank you for watching.